Hey, what's up? Thank you for tuning into another episode of the Business Life and Coffee podcast with Joey Price. This week, again, we are chronicling what it is like to be a small business owner in the age of COVID-19. And while we don't have a special guest this week, I wanted to highlight a few things that you may have missed, some opportunities that you can take advantage of as a small business owner or an entrepreneur, a freelancer, if you've got a side gig, if you sell on Etsy. There are a few opportunities that are available to you. And I also just want to talk about how life is changing. One of the ways that it's changing is that there are tax credits for your business. And one of the things that I loved about processing payroll this week, other than the fact that I get to process payroll and that I'm extremely fortunate to still be in business and have customers that I appreciate very much, my payroll system calculated the tax credits that I get automatically. And so they were credited back to my account right away. And if you don't have that kind of payroll provider, if you don't have that relationship with your payroll offering, then we need to talk, because I am telling the world about Gusto and how it has helped me navigate these COVID challenges. I was speaking with one of my representatives today, and she just, we just chatted for 10 minutes about how life is going. And so if you need payroll for your small business, if you pay contractors, if you pay employees, and if you want to know how much you're saving through this season that we're in, you can click the link in the show notes and it will take you to a page where you can learn more about Gusto. And of course, when you click through the links in the show, you are supporting the show and helping us keep the show for free. So make sure you click the link in the show notes for our Gusto link, and you will be on the way to better payroll. Well, how are you doing? Are you listening at home? Are you listening on your way to the grocery store? Are you on your way to have a go for a run? What are you doing? I mean, this whole coronavirus thing, literally, I have such a predictable routine right now. I wake up, I go to my office, I come home, I spend time with my family, and that's it. Now, sometimes I may go to the grocery store, I may drop supplies off at my parents' house, but this coronavirus is really causing all of us to shelter in place and do what we need to do to help fight this thing together. It really is breaking my heart to see this virus sweep through the world, sweep through our nation, and take out people that are young, take out people that are old, and in such an unpredictable way that, it's really hard to game plan for it. So how has the coronavirus impacted you? What lifestyle changes are you having to make in order to adjust to this? And of course, we're all staying home, we're sheltering in place. But what are you doing? How is it impacting your business? Are you working remotely? Have you had work stoppages? What is happening with your business? Because I want to know, and I want to serve as a resource to help. And speaking of resources to help, we at Jumpstart have done quite a few webinars and courses all about the ways that the government is attempting to help keep your employees on the payroll. Everything from the FFCRA, the CARES Act, the PPE, which is a payroll protection loan that has a lot of struggles right now. People just aren't able to get it. But I'm going to talk about it in more detail. But there's just a lot of opportunities out there for you as a business owner. And what I will do on the other side of this break is I will walk through each of those things that exist. And then after that, I'll talk about some ways that you can pivot your business. So this won't be a traditional episode. It's kind of just a journal, kind of a day in the life type of episode. And we'll be back on the other side of this break.
Jumpstart HR is changing the face of the HR industry with their outsourcing, project consulting, and phone support. Enabling startups and small businesses to outsource their HR needs from anywhere in the U.S. From new business and legal compliance to employee performance management and outplacement services. Within the business community, Jumpstart HR is a trusted and reliable service. In fact, companies like Forbes, HR.com, and Inc. magazine have all featured Jumpstart HR for their easy-to-use, hourly, monthly, and on-call support that is tailored specifically to each client's needs. This saves clients like you a lot of time and money. To learn more, schedule your free HR evaluation today at jumpstart-hr.com/contact.
All right, welcome back to the Business Life and Coffee Show. I want to walk through some of the things that you can do to protect your business. Why is it important to do these things? Well, first of all, if you have been impacted already by the coronavirus, my thoughts and prayers go out to you and your family, whether you've been impacted health-wise or economically, or both. This is really changing the way that we look at doing business, the way that we look at interacting with one another, and it's crazy. But the first thing that I want to talk about is the disaster assistance that is provided by the U.S. Small Business Administration. So if you go to the SBA.gov website, you'll notice that at the top of the website, there's a yellow bar that says Coronavirus COVID-19 Relief Options and Additional Resources. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. And the first thing that you are able to do is apply for an SBA loan. There is a economic disruption loan that exists. And first of all, what I will say is that there's so much that's changing almost on a day-to-day basis about this website, because I've gone on it a few times this week and last week, and things are changing. The way that you do things are changing. But there are several funding options available here on the website, and it's SBA.gov, and there's a longer URL about funding programs and coronavirus relief. The first thing that exists is the Paycheck Protection Program, and it says that this loan provides loan forgiveness for retaining employees by temporarily expanding the traditional SBA 7A loan program. And from my understanding of this opportunity, you are able to apply for upwards of 2.5x your monthly payroll. And what this is supposed to do is supposed to essentially be a loan that you can have that is entirely forgived, so long as you use it for your payroll. You can use it for health benefits. You can use it for mortgages and loans. You can use it for those types of expenses. Anything that goes towards keeping your employees whole, keeping your employees on the payroll, and having a place for your employees to work. So payroll, lease or mortgage, and utilities. So anything that goes to the overall structure of your building, where your employees work, and then your payroll as well. All right, so then the other thing that is available is an EIDL loan advance, which is a loan advance that will provide up to $10,000 of economic relief to businesses that are currently experiencing temporary difficulties. So this is a streamlined application for you to apply to an economic injury disaster loan, and it's an emergency advance where you're able to get $10,000 right away. Now, full disclosure, I did apply for this and I'm still waiting for mine to come through, but I did apply for it this week and I'm sure they're just slammed. So time will tell when this comes through. And if it does come through before the show releases, I'll definitely hop back on here, or at least have a note at the top of the recording saying, hey, it did come through, it's real. So you can go ahead and do it. But if you are a small business with 500 employees or less, you're able to apply for this economic injury disaster loan. And the advanced funds are going to be available for you. And it's basically to help you apply for, again, payroll, helping to keep the company in business, helping to keep the company afloat. Maybe you've had some customers that you've lost out on business and it's just rocked you the wrong way. you can apply for this loan. There's also the SBA Express Bridge Loans, which I'm not as familiar with, but this says that it enables small businesses who currently have a business relationship with an SBA Express lender to access up to $25,000 quickly. Now, the reason why I guess I don't have a relationship or understanding of this one is because prior to COVID, I never really took on any loans for the business. This had been a purely bootstrapped operation to run Jumpstart, and fortunately never had to go into debt, have credit cards, but pay those off or pay the credit card off every month. And so I haven't had a relationship with a loan provider. So it's kind of like kicking people in the foot or shooting people in the back or whatever those the right analogy is, where you want to do good, you want to not have credit issues, you want to be debt free, but now when it's time for relief of some sort, it's a little bit harder for you to get it. But this SBA Express Bridge Loan is helpful because it'll help you get up to $25,000 quickly if you already have a relationship with an SBA lender. The next one is the SBA Debt Relief. And the SBA Debt Relief is where the SBA is providing financial reprieve for businesses during the COVID-19 pandemic. Let's see what this is all about. As part of the SBA's debt relief efforts, the SBA will automatically pay the interest, principal, and fees of a current 7A, 504, and microloan for a period of 6 months. The SBA will also pay the interest, principal, and fees of new 7A, 504, and microloans issued prior to September 27, 2020. The additional debt relief that they have is that there is deferral of loans through December 31st, 2020. There's an automatic deferral. So if you have one of these loans, you don't have to pay, or you don't have to pay now, but you will have to pay towards the end of the year. And there are a few stipulations on this. So you want to make sure that you're doing everything you can to take advantage of these opportunities, but then at the same time, make sure that you are following the rules and having the right amount of documentation. That's another thing that I would talk about like how this is impacting my business and likely yours too. Because I am a federal contractor, and because I just, with filing taxes every year, and you want to take advantage of deductions and things of that nature, I tend to keep pretty decent records of financials and things like that through QuickBooks, and I have an accountant that helps me with QuickBooks and things like that. But when it comes down to crisis and needing debt relief and all these sorts of loans and things, each of them require in some way for you to verify, financial records. And so if you are not taking advantage of good, helpful record keeping, this pandemic is showing the value of that, right? It's showing why it's important for you to have good records and make sure that you know how much money was spent last month and where did it go and yada, yada, yada. So you've got to, at the very least, if you want to apply for these things, there's certain financial information you need to know about your business. I totally remember, back in the days when my business was run through my personal bank account and it was all blurred together and I had no lines drawn about this, that, and the other. I remember those days, but I would encourage you to, whether you're thinking about starting a business, you just started a business, or you've been in business for a while, this is challenging all of us to make sure that we keep tight financial records and make sure that we know where our money is going, especially when it's time to reevaluate how much money you actually have and can bring to the table. So that is my update on the SBA loans and the SBA information. There's another thing that is available for businesses, and that is the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act, also known as CARES. And this was passed by the House of Representatives, Senate, Congress, the White House, September 27th. And it provides various different benefits for your business. So we had already talked about the PPP, which is the Paycheck Protection Program, which offers you the sum of 2.5, the average total monthly payments by the applicant for payroll costs incurred during 1 year period. But also there is some loan forgiveness as well, which we talked about. There are emergency grants. There are subsidies for loans. There's unemployment provisions. So any individual that finds themselves needing unemployment, there's a boost, I believe, of about $600 per week additional that is available for you to claim. And they're trying to accelerate your ability to get those payments too, because at last count, over 10 million Americans filed for unemployment over the last 2 weeks. And so the government realizes that, hey, a lot of people need this information and a lot of people could benefit from the financial resources. So it does go without saying that that's the truth, but at least we're seeing some steps, at least on paper, that are being done to help make your business run a lot better, and to help employees bridge the gap between working and not working. Another aspect of the CARES Act is for retirement plans. It allows individuals to take COVID related distributions, so it's called CRDs, of up to $100,000. And CRDs, the COVID-19 related distributions, are defined as distributions made from eligible retirement plans. They've got to be made during 2020. They've got to be to an individual diagnosed with COVID-19, a spouse that has been diagnosed with COVID-19, or if you've been furloughed, laid off, or unable to work because of COVID-19. Basically, what the government is saying is, hey, I get it. You may need to take an emergency loan to help you, and the place you may be able to tap into might just be your retirement. So there is going to be a waiver of this tax that happens when you typically withdraw money from your account. They're actually going to withhold that so you can borrow some funds. And but there's fine print to it, so you've got to make sure that you pay attention there. There's a lot of things that are out there for you to take advantage of if you are a small business owner, if you have a startup, if you know someone that you care about and they're a startup. Let's try to spread good information, help people get as whatever they need, because I imagine that there are finite resources for this. And if you don't take advantage of it early, even though some of these programs run through December, there may not be anything left. So let's just help each other out with that. The next thing I wanted to talk about really quickly is how I think that business is going to change in the next few months, in the next few years after COVID. I don't think that we're going back to normal. I don't even think normal exists. I think we just move from various seasons of what's normal today, but there's always innovation and disruption happening. So what are some things that I think are going to happen? Definitely, I think that more businesses are going to be cashless. So when I say more businesses are going to be cashless, that means that they are going to not accept cash. They're going to be credit card only, swipe only, chip only, because that helps with reducing the spread of any kind of transmittable viruses or diseases. Think about money and how many hands it passes through and how many pockets, clean pockets, dirty pockets. Think of how many vending machines it goes through. Think of how many times money sits in the bottom of somebody's car and all of the germs that can be collected there. So there's a lot of stuff that happens to money, and I'm just getting icky thinking about it. But if I were you, I would think about how I can create a cashless business where I'm either accepting credit cards, checks, direct deposits, or wires, or like PayPal or Square or Cash App or Venmo, because that's just going to be one way to make the transaction seamless. But then also, if you have like a subscription business or billing that you need to chase customers down, you can have people sign up for recurring billing or have them share their account information with your private, with your secure provider. And then that will help make sure that you can have access to their funds when you need to hit collect on invoice. What else do I think is going to change? I think that more companies are going to see the value of working from home. It's a mandate for companies that still are in business right now to work from home. So I don't see how, when this goes away, if companies have been reasonably productive or reasonably successful, I can't see how this isn't more of a norm for companies who said otherwise, that they wouldn't want to be remote. I think about, companies that the owner feels like people aren't productive unless they're walking around the business. Well, the reality is now you have to rely on the fact that your employees are working to be productive, because you're not going to show up to their house. They're not going to let you in. So I think that we're going to have more remote work. What else do I think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen? I want to hear from you. I want to hear on Twitter, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, what you think is going to happen to the future of work. I think that there are going to be, in addition to, of course, some of the smaller firms that may not make it through, I think that there are going to be large companies that the virus proves that the way that they do business is not necessarily viable and sustainable when crisis needs to happen. And so companies will pivot. So I think that there's going to be disruption of small businesses. I think there's going to be disruption of large businesses. And to that, I say, that is a part of the nature of business, is figuring out how you need to adapt and then making that change to adapt. So those are my thoughts on how business is changing, and I hope that you are taking notes on some of the ways that you can protect your business through some federal programs. I should have also said that a lot of states as well are offering programs. I know here in Maryland there are relief programs in place. So please take advantage of whatever is available to you, because we don't know how long it's going to be available. So I hope you are safe. I hope you are at home. I hope you are productive. I hope you are enjoying some level of self-care, and I hope you're not spending too much money. And thanks for listening to the show, and I will see you next week.